G'day, g'day, g'day. This is my second reading today. Hopefully it'll upload overnight. So this is on the very serious issue, if you like, of Trump and North Korea. As we all know, a lot of leaders get seduced into thinking, I'm in trouble politically, best have a war. So the question being asked in this reading is about Trump and North Korea. Now, as we know, last week Ivanka was sent as first daughter to talk to South Korea about what the US plans for North Korea. Staggering. But this is very serious stuff, particularly those in other countries that are closer than the USA and could also feel the wrath of North Korea trying to prove a point. So the world is watching. So this today is, will Trump provoke North Korea? Will Trump provoke North Korea? Trump, North Korea. Okay, for this one I'm going to do a past, present, future reading on this topic. So let's see what turns up here. Nostalgia. Okay, I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. I'm going to lay out all the cards and then see how we go. Just give me a moment. Okay, the past. Now, for those of you who are students of history, you will know that it was actually part of the US strategy to divide the two Koreas along the 38th parallel. And so that division, the US has to take some responsibility for that. But here, given that it's the card of nostalgia, I take it to mean, in an American context, that it's a nostalgia for having control of this situation to a large extent. And the other thing that springs to my mind about it is, with the two Koreas divided, there are long periods where nothing happens. There's just lots of flashpoints of tension, and then nothing happens. Flashpoints of tension, nothing. So there's a security in the fact that America, having the military might it does, just keep North Korea in a holding pattern. Okay, at the end of the day, it has the firepower. But like I said, there are other countries who could pay the price. So that, I think, represents, if you like, the status quo. So in the past, we won't dwell on the past, but it was tremendously difficult for the Koreans themselves. You can imagine. It was like the partition of India into India and Pakistan by the British. You know, these are colonial practices. And they're only done within a generation, so people still are alive who remember it happening. And it was very traumatic. Families were separated and so forth. So there was that. It saved face for both parties, though, to some extent. That's what I meant by the status quo. It enabled, if you take these two figures, which I take to be America on the one hand and South Korea on the other. So South Korea had enormous protection from the states who were trying to keep North Korea at bay. And as we know, it's been phenomenally successful as an economy and has done very well out of that relationship. So there was cause for celebration. But again, a celebration with hesitation or not quite achieving what it set out to achieve, because you've still got the tension with the North and that many are suffering. We're still in the past. The bringing together of people. So I would see this, if you like, again, as America and South Korea, with the strength of America as an umbrella over that relationship. And considering the readings about North Korea, I think North Korea is represented and stayed in a state of anguish and poverty, and has gone on to deal with many of the other powers who are actually enemies of the United States. Some are allies, but some are enemies. So it's a complex scenario. Okay, in the present, swords, very like that other previous swords, moving away. This could be Kim Jong-un moving away, or it could be America moving away from its relationship, diplomatic stalemate of the past. So we'll see what that brings. We have the Nine of Cups here. This is the current column. Look, this is just my opinion. This is Lena speaking, not as the tarot reader. I don't think they're handling, meaning the US, I don't think you're handling North Korea as well as you could, in the sense Kim Jong-un is only 26 going on 27 or something. He's very young. He could be seduced. He could be this figure, which I think he is represented in this reading as this figure. That's why I think he's in the middle. He's got personal wealth, enormous personal wealth, and emotionally he has complete control of the country. And I think it would be better to be meeting with him, talking with him, and seducing him with all the yummy things of the West. You know, saying, look, by the time you're 30, your country could be powering like South Korea. You could be seen as this world leader. This is time. I think this is a wish list in some ways of what could be happening, but isn't quite. I think it'd be a smarter way of handling him. Unfortunately, viewers, I don't rule the world. Okay, so this is the World card. Now, coming up shortly, the Magician. Okay, in the near-term future, the Magician. Could something magically happen to change this situation? Possibly, possibly not. This Magician figure has the power in their hands. This could actually represent, because we're talking about countries, huge diplomatic situations, the Magician could actually be China or even Russia. Now, had things not been so toxic with Russia because of the foolishness of the Trump campaign and all the illegalities, and that relationship is now very bad, I don't think it is Russia. I think the Magician in this context is China. China has the power, it's a very powerful figure, has all the tools at the disposal of the Magician to step in now. America's frozen between the old school way of looking at things, the Cold War extended to North Korea, and China, who is now embracing a more open market economy and capitalism, even though it is still a single-party state. That could be a model for North Korea. Okay. This represents a new leader. God, they need it. Could be a new leader of the US, or in this context, I think it means a new leader in Korea. Something, anything could happen to Kim Jong-un. given what happened to his brother. If China gets in the ear of the North Korean generals, we might see a coup or we might see a change of leadership. At the moment, nothing's happening right now as we speak. I'm going to have to pull more cards on this because my question was actually, will Trump start a war with North Korea? And somehow the cards have chosen to display what I think is quite an interesting story leading up to that question. So if you bear with me a few moments, I'm going to put all these cards back in the pack and re-ask the question about Trump and the war, because I don't think that was the answer to that question. But I think the universe has made a value judgment and said, look, you can't talk about that without talking about the overall situation. So, give me a moment. I'll just get these cards mixed up here. And we'll re-ask this question. Okay, so very specifically, and I'll just do a shorter spread on this. No, I'll put it back in, it was too early in the shuffle. Okay, so the question is, will Trump attack North Korea? Will Trump attack North Korea? Will Trump attack North Korea? Okay. Okay, so heading it up with the question, you have the Hierophant. Okay, so that embodies law and order, the system, what keeps a society functioning. So I'm thinking in the light of this very specific question now, will Trump start a war with North Korea? I'm thinking this represents checks and balances to that happening. Mercy, mercy. Money at play, big money at play, intergenerational money, family money. So given China's close relationship with North Korea, China would be very unhappy should America do this. And I think that could reinforce the checks and balances. In a normal administration, the Chinese diplomats and high-powered shakers and movers would be talking directly to the administration. I'd like to think that Tillerson, even though he's an oil man and he really isn't the man to be Secretary of State, understands that. But regardless, big money does not want to see a war with North Korea. We have this same card again, new leader. Remember the last reading ended with the Hanged Man, suspended, not going anywhere for a while. I think this is suggesting quite strongly we are looking at a new leader. But in a way it's a race against the clock. The Chariot. So my question being about Trump and his mindset and what he wants to do, he would love to. I think I'm safe in saying that. He would love to have the distraction of an attack on North Korea. But there's checks and balances here. So I don't think the State Department, the CIA, all the behind-the-scenes people would be happy with it. And as this plays out, this being the Trump presidency, I think we may well see a new leader for North Korea who might in fact outlast Trump. How ironic. All right, there you go. That's my very quick take on Trump and North Korea. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up. Bye now.